Howdy, howdy.
Hey, been a bit.
It has been a bit, and a lot has happened in the world. Uh, I don't know that we're necessarily targeting any of the more past things since the election. What is it right now? The one right now is the Epstein files,
Hmm.
and I find it really fascinating what's going on, and just kind of how MAGA is looking at it. And I think that there's a lot of I feel like it's a shared thing even with the Democrats. Like the Democrats may want to see this stuff as well, or they're just kind of like, I see some of the like Trump is on the list, and that's why he's not putting it out. And I feel like that's just like an old narrative that they're just kind of bandwagging on because that's just what they were doing before.
Opportunism. Yeah.
But I don't think that that's the reason. I definitely think that there's a cover up. I don't see. It's hard
Mm.
for me to see something outside of like we're sweeping
Good.
this under the rug.
I'm glad that we see differently because it'll be interesting.
Yeah, that's great. Because to me, it just doesn't it. There's so many pieces of narrative that we've kind of been fed, pieces of information, and for Cash Patel and Dan Bongino kind of to initially come out and just the way that they presented it, saying Epstein didn't kill himself, and it was just like it was like there was no build up, no like hey we want to like prep you guys for like disappointment or whatever. It was just he didn't kill himself. I saw it. I saw the footage.
Right.
He didn't do it.
So I've seen that clip, and I've seen all the clips like that, like Asmongold has played, and I've heard Tim Pool say some stuff or do some little coverage, but I'm kind of isolated like from 10 hours of podcasts. I haven't done that in a while on purpose. And so my perspective is a little bit different. I'm a little bit more like it's sad, but it's just another period of noise in my mind. In my mind, it doesn't seem as dire. It always seems as dire when you're in it, when you're especially when you're going day to day. And I feel like it sucks, but it's just opportunism. It actually it can be maybe beneficial because you have these moments of where like Democrats are happy to jump on board with this, right? But like
Mm-hmm.
it's something that there's in common with people on the right now. There's certain ideas. Now they're gonna take it too far. They try to well, and look all this. They try to bandwagon and throw
Yeah.
everything else in there, which is much. But like at least there can be a common ground. That this whole suck. It all stinks, right?
Yeah.
But I think that one thing that could explain all of it is that the whole idea was a conspiracy in the first place, and we really believed it because it made so much sense. But then when they're all looking and they're looking for it, and Pam Bonnie's demanding FBI documents in New York,
And
give me
she
all the kind of
has
stuff.
them
I'm
on
like,
their
but
on the desk.
but maybe like there actually aren't any. And then now the mud's on all of our face. And so and then now the world believes it. Now we're stuck with it. Now we're stuck with it. We're the ones hiding it. So I think
Yeah.
it's a little bit probably more like that, where like there isn't as much as we would have imagined there was. I mean, yes, there's probably a lot of tapes. They probably could prosecute some people that they should prosecute. Um, but
They
there's not
just
like
dropped
there's
the
not like a
whole thing
master list
though.
of having like 75 major high rolling people on a list. I think it's more ambiguous than that.
Well, I mean, one of the burning questions is Ghislaine Maxwell
Yeah.
is has been
She's alive.
arrested for trafficking children to nobody. Like, okay, like, because really, I think the realistic goal of us is prosecutions.
Yeah.
Find people who are involved in any of this stuff and go after them.
I would like to see there be stuff like that for sure. Um, I'm just saying that. I understand the heart of Dan Bongino in all this. Like, I understand him as a human, and so there are only so many possible things that are going on here, just based upon my understanding of his sense of personal honor and what he's in life for, right? Like, he's not in it for money or power or anything. He's took step down to do this because he thought he was doing the work. He's not. It's
Right. But what if that work involves like, because here's kind of what I'm in a sense faced with. This is how I kind of see it a little bit. Is this the people who are likely implicated? Like, if there are people, because there's
if
she
it's like
got
world collapse,
right, and it's like based on the the names and the leaders and the CEOs
like
and
let's say if it's
whoever these big name guys are,
Saudi Arabian prince and all sorts of things, and where it would like destroy some sort of of the
whoever, yeah,
it
leaders
would
of countries,
break up
CEOs,
the gains
celebrities,
we've made with Middle East peace, and there's all sorts of things where it could actually affect if it's big enough, and then therefore
or if
either
Israel is
case
implicated in it,
we should I think that I think it would be I think it Dan Bongino, unless been instructed from
that's a
above.
to me that's a reason. If
Yes,
you're holding
but he would say
the
that. But I think they would say it differently. I think they would say. I don't think they would say it how they said it.
well, the way that they
I
said
think
it,
they would come out and say it directly. They think said, you know what? There are actually say we would actually have the end of the world if we did this. I think that
which
they
they
would
can't
say that.
say, they couldn't say that
Why not?
because you're telling us.
Yeah.
The whole point is for us to drop it because you can't
Yeah.
have this. Now think about this. Think about this.
Impossible though.
Candace
Never,
Owens
never
came
stop
out.
it.
Candace Owens came out and she talked about a situation where she ended up getting a call from Trump who requested that she stop reporting on the Brigitte Macron is a man. He asked her to stop because he's trying to finalize a deal with France in an agreement that helps to end the Ukraine Russia war. And Candace was like, "Okay, look, I just completed my series. I'll leave it alone for a while, but at some point I'm gonna return to it." And so she gave like 3 months or five.
Yeah.
She gave it a while, I think it was like 2 or 3 months, and that's enough time to kind of like work this deal out. And she was like, okay, and so she told this story. So that what that tells me is that Trump is willing to suppress to push for the suppression of
Sure.
information in order to reach a greater goal. If the greater goal is the
For
end
sure.
of this Russia-Ukraine war, then she's going to want to do that, or then he's going to want to do that. So now this story is not in the hands of Candace Owens. He doesn't have to call her and say, "Hey, I want you to drop this." And so what does he do? He literally comes out and like what, 2 days ago, yesterday, 2 days ago, Epstein. Why are we talking about Epstein? We're still talking
Yeah,
about
I
this creep.
know.
Like, get up. Like, we got other things to think about. Now, here's the thing. I know that
From his
Trump.
point of view, that actually makes kind of sense because he was like, even when he was questioned before, and he said that he's like, I don't know, sure, FC, sure, maybe, sure, we'll release those two, sure.
He's the
He's
one who
never,
brought it up. He's the one back in 2015 who was like, "Oh, Bill Clinton, he's going to have some big problems with Epstein." Like, he's kind of more in the know. He's not
okay,
he understands that something went down. And so I know that Trump knows how Americans operate. If you try to tell an American, "Shut up, don't look at that, stop speaking," what are they going to do? They're going to be like, "Really? I don't think so. I'm going to be louder." And that's exactly what's happening. And I don't know how he's going to manage through this, but all that Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and Donald Trump have done is make his supporters dig their 10 toes in deeper. They are much more interested in seeking and finding and exposing the truth. And there's a lot of people who are like, I don't care if we have to burn it all down, because if
Yeah.
what we're going to do, and I think it's a very viable position, is if what we're going to do is we're going to continue the future into the future, ignoring the what has happened in truth that involves children in horrible situations, and we're just going to brush that under the wood, under the rug. Morally speaking, it's an atrocious thing to do. But I think that there is a level of understanding where if you have those two options of the world collapses into chaos as power vacuums get filled after all of these countries and all of this stuff. Because you got to remember, Trump's entire goal right now is basically world peace.
Yeah.
His
Is
entire
recording?
focus is
Okay, so
on.
it says you are running out of browser space in this device. This may affect your local recording. Is that not me? Is
That's
that
not
me?
me.
Your thing. Okay.
I should
It
have.
says
I
recording
should
hasn't
have.
started in the bottom of the screen, so
Oh, uh, I can't tell. That's okay. Whatever happens, happens. I'm recording.
if,
The thing is I'm recording in OBS, but
oh, okay.
um,
Oh, that's why. Because you're
yeah,
recording in OBS, not here.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, not there.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I think all of this, like, Trump has a goal of aiming towards world peace, and just
He does.
imagine if he's
He does have
dealing.
that
And
goal.
here's another point: is that all of this started coming out as, I think it was like very recently, Bibi Netanyahu came and he had a visit, and then there was another visit in Africa or something. I mean, he's visited with him multiple times, and knowing that Macron had asked Trump, "Hey, Candace Owens, she's doing a report on my wife saying that she's a man and it's really bothering her, and can you put a stop? Can you do anything to put a
Did
stop
she
to
say
that?"
it's really bothering him?
Yeah, that's what he's. Yeah,
Really?
that's what
My wife, that's
her
really
her
bothering
kind of
you. Oops, I
translation
mean
is.
her.
Or no, it's bothering her.
I'm,
Um,
I'm saying, I'm saying, I'm saying, did he slip when it's taking
I
like
think I
it's really
probably did,
bothering?
if anything.
I know. I'm joking.
Um, and so it's like, I think that it's
I
entirely
think it's
plausible.
likely, very likely.
I think it's very likely that chances are, here's kind of in a sense what I think might be going on, is that they did find this information, and I think it implicates Israel.
Mm.
I think Israel is involved in it in some form or fashion through intelligence. Now, I'll say from the get-go, I hear Mossad. I don't understand Mossad. I don't know if is it a person, is it an organization, is it a group, is it a think tank, is it, I don't really know what it is, but it's some sort of entity.
I don't know.
I don't really know, and I should probably look it up or have somebody tell me, explain it to me. But
I can't.
barring whatever Mossad is, and I think that I can just generalize the situation, and if Mossad, whatever that is, fits into it, then okay. But Israel has had Israel is basically a nation that is built through using intelligence, and they are very good at, in my opinion, manipulating intelligence in order to get certain things done. And I can absolutely see how they could work with somebody to kind of plant these seeds that are potential explosions, so that they can basically say, hey, we need you to do what we need you to do, and then through all kinds of various different means or whatever, um, and then it gets so bad that, like, hey, here's this information, it's about to get blown up, what are the consequences of that? And if when the consequences are breaking apart world peace, collapsing economies, markets go wild, I feel like there's, and especially when we have a historical nature of having Israel as our number one ally publicly, that would be a horrible thing to just put out there. You don't
So
want, yeah.
it's 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 just going to be a black eye always, and a black eye, not a black guy. It's going to be a black eye always, and it's going to blow over. Like they're gonna people be mad and not like it, kind of like an Oliver North thing with Reagan and stuff. It'll be a thing that's there, but I'm hoping and I'm guessing that there's just gonna be a lot of winning that happens otherwise. That
Oh,
eventually it's just gonna, you know what I'm saying? That
in that
eventually it's just
angle,
gonna be like that, but the freaking Epstein, it's gonna be a disappointment. It's gonna be a
yeah,
bad thing.
it's
It's gonna be something. It's gonna be something hanging over Trump,
it's going to be
but
a
it's gonna
stain on
go
his
away,
legacy.
kind of.
It's
I
going to
think it's
be a
gonna kind of
stain on
go
his
away.
legacy.
Yeah, it
When
is.
yeah, he I don't the at the end of the day, here's something else I want to kind of point out is that like I think at the end of the day, this is this decision, in my opinion, to sweep this whole thing under the rug for this greater goal, I think is a decision that I'm fortunate not to have to make.
Hmm.
This is a brutally more like it's a moral thing and it's a tough one because you're on one hand you're looking at the destruction of world peace and people's livelihoods and then exposure of all these guys.
I'm the type
um
of person that would expose the truth and burn it all down. I'm that type of person.
so am I, but when you think about it, like if you were,
But it doesn't
I
piss
don't
me
think
off
that
that
this is gonna. I don't think that this is going to necessarily affect. Here's my more targeted point. I don't think that this is going to necessarily affect votes for him come 2028, and I think he is going to end up running again. And I don't think that this is a
I don't.
situation. We'll see. I don't think that this is a situation where,
He's already old enough. I think he's slowing down. He's
we'll
still
see.
Trump.
We'll see.
He's slowing down.
I think that if you were to put this decision, and Biden has shown this, you put this decision in somebody else's hands, and I think that they would end up making the same call. I can't think of a single political leader who could be in the position to release it and them actually
Maybe.
doing it, because making that decision is very likely going to blow up your economic
So
success. It's going to cause you tons more problems of having to go and negotiate and deal with all this stuff. Like Trump is dealing with tariffs, he's dealing with all these countries
so
trying to bring peace, and
while I
this
trust
information can come out and just blow up the whole scene.
while I trust that Trump is a patriot and he wants to do good things for America, I don't always necessarily, kind of like with Elon. Like I like Elon, but I'm not always. I
Yeah.
there's a wild cardness to him where I can't necessarily trust what I don't see. But what I do trust, I mean, but who I would trust what I don't see is Dan Bongino and probably Cash. Dan
But
Bongino and
wouldn't
Cash.
they make,
I probably would trust that they are doing the best, even if it's lying to us.
which is kind of
I
the
kind
point,
of trust those guys.
which is kind of the point, is that that trust in them and them being participants in sweeping it under the rug is them doing their best for their country. They're doing what they believe is the right thing for the country. And they're probably not wrong. It really just kind of ends up becoming a moral question of like, are we really going to, and are we okay with eliminating, like, not dealing with this situation? Like, are
I
morally,
wonder.
are we okay with letting this whole thing slide? And
I
instead,
wonder
we
if
move forward and
if
we
like
target pedophiles and we target all these guys and
yeah.
but we don't go back and we don't try to like unearth this grand conspiracy that has been going on for like 50 years and they've been doing all this and that, like whatever the situation is, and it's just targeted everybody.
So in
Say,
15
okay,
years, most
we need
everyone
to
will be
push
dead.
this off to the winds and say we need a new future. We're entering a new golden era, and we'll target anybody who does anything from now on. But we can't go into the past. We can't change the past. So let's leave it alone, and we'll go from there.
Uh, in 10 or 15 years, maybe some enough people will be dead such that it's okay to tell us everything.
That it could be. Well, it'll probably be more like 50 or something like that, or
Well, then it's
maybe
not
like
my
25
lifetime.
or
Then
something.
it's not my lifetime
Well,
anymore.
that's the thing is that just like JFK, they released the information when basically everybody's who's involved is dead, and a lot of the people who were around at the time, they're old, right? It's kind of like, all right, this is old news now. So I can imagine, I can imagine it, you know?
Yeah, it's to me sad. It's just a sad state, and the Elon thing is just sad,
It's a lose lose.
disappointing. It's like I'm more mad at Elon in that situation actually, even though he's correct about the budgetary
See,
problem.
and with the budgetary thing, I think he would act like when I was thinking about like who would actually have the balls to expose it all.
Oh yeah,
I think
He-
Elon is probably the one guy that I can imagine would
yeah.
just be like, you know what? Screw it. I mean, he went balls to the wall on this budget thing. I mean, he destroyed. Now I
And
have
then he was shanked. And then he was shanked is kind of what it is. I mean, not really, but like they when they made the $5 trillion or whatever it is, and basically bloat spending over the next couple of years
he
on
knew
this
it
big
though.
deal.
He knew it. All that's to me that whole fight thing is it's to me it's peppered with like it doesn't feel right. Like it doesn't feel like it's an honest thing.
It's not it's not staged. It's Elon.
I
It's
feel like it's
so
somewhat it's WWE style staged. Like
no.
we need to
Trump
have
is pulling his punches a little bit. He's not being quite as mean, but he's
exactly.
definitely being angry.
Exactly.
But that's just because
Think about what everybody gains out of it.
they spent so much time together that and Elon did so much for him that he's not going to go completely like, oh, he's a worthless guy. I talked about how he was a
No.
brilliant, you got to save your brilliant people forever. Like he's just not he's not going he's just slightly going at him. He's not really, and that's just because he's having deference. He's just being like, all right, asshole. All right. So I guess you're doing whatever.
I have too many I see too many things off about that what that fight was. When he comes out and he's like, "You're cutting my EV stuff," like, "Oh, you're cutting the EV mandate." That pisses me off.
It
Um,
wasn't about the
oh,
EV. It was he always knew the EV
yeah,
mandate coming
he's
up,
known
but he's
about
saying,
all of
but
it.
all the other ones too. But they still have it for coal, and they still have it for fossil fuels, and for the gas industry. So
That
that's what
doesn't
he's
matter.
mad at,
He's never wanted any help. He has specifically
right?
said, "I don't want
But it is a
support.
hit
I don't
when he
want subsidies."
but they're cutting subsidies to that section only, and then they still have subsidies for these other regions. It's like
That
why?
stuff, that those subsidies in these other things are inconsequential, I think, to Elon. Those are different sections of the
No,
government dealing with
it's
different
not a matter of
kinds of technology.
financially financially significant makes no difference to Elon. He cares about the fairness. It's like he doesn't. He says we can survive without these subsidies. We don't need these subsidies.
Yeah,
It's
on
actually better.
Elon stuff.
It's just better for the industry. But He thinks it's unfair these other industries are getting subsidies. They should have to stand on their own
Well, he
also.
never he never
It's a principle
expected
thing for
other
him. It's not like
subsidies to go
it's not
away.
because he's mad about the money. It's that he thinks on principle people should not be bolstered up, is supported when they should fail. He wants people to fail that should fail, and people that
Hmm.
should win should win.
Then how come he didn't? How come out of all of the messages that he was saying, he was talking about, I'm upset because you're cutting my subsidies, rather than you cut EV subsidies, but you keep on with all of these. That wasn't a point ever in
Okay,
anything that Elon has ever even said or during this fight.
so just knowing Elon, because I haven't seen all the clips that you've seen, probably knowing Elon, it's that he was always making that um he was always making the argument that yes, that's fine. If we have to cut these, we have to cut these. As a if we have to cut these, that's fine. But we should cut these. We should cut all of them as well, right? That's how it should be. But then, but it's something he's wanted. He's wanted not because he needs it for financially, but because he wants us to be in an electric world. He wants us to be in a world that is self-sustaining with like
Mm-hmm.
solar panels and batteries, and like he wants us to be running that way, and he thinks it's a shame that we're not going that direction. So
Then he
yes,
when
he
he
does
when
not
he's
like.
throwing his fit, then he should be expressing
Yeah.
that. But he's not. He's taking it personally, and he's taking it like this is all like,
Yes,
oh,
that's what Elon
I'm
does.
being targeted, when he's
That's what Elon
clearly
does, and
not,
that's what
though.
makes me mad. That's what frustrates me. But that's what Elon does, is that he's because he gives his all, like he gave everything towards get for Trump for a long, and he gave up so much time also for like the Doge, and he goes all in, and then he just gets undercut. It just felt bad. It just felt bad, and then he feels slighted, and he's reacting emotionally.
So
It's
here's kind of my a theory that I is that there is a level of stageness to it. I think there's a WWE style stage, and
I'm
here's
still
why.
not
Well,
convinced.
here's why I think is that I think Trump wins out of it, Elon wins out of it, and the American people win out of having this fight. Because when you have,
Yes, but I don't think it's staged. Now, I think what you're saying is correct, but I don't think it's staged at all. This is genuinely happening. But I think to have the unity of Elon, and then Elon coming out and pushing against, I think him creating like a force, I think it'll help them both because they're both kind of because right now it was almost too sycophantish how it was with Trump and Elon. It was too much like they're on board, and it was easy to be against them or with them. And now the
right.
camps are having to make choices intellectually and take ideas a la carte more and try to and like I mean, I'm just kind of stepping back. I'm like, ooh, yikes!
Well, you know,
It's not all about the personality. It's not just straight up about I like Trump or I like Elon. It's like what if you like both of them, then now you're like, oh,
I think
I
the
can't just
stuff
I can't just say whatever he said.
I think the stuff that Elon is like generally speaking talking about, he really cares about. When you look at the debt ceiling, and he's like, this $5 trillion debt ceiling is an affront to everything that we were
Yeah.
pushing. I think that that's a real genuine concern. It's a topic that he can jump on. And when you're dealing in politics, you need to go to extremes in order to do this.
Hmm.
Now, when you look at Elon Musk and what the situation was at the time, just prior to
Bill signing.
the bill signing, um, he had all of the left hating him. They were firebombing his Teslas, and then he's exiting. He's on his way out. And so if he's going back to Tesla. Now, if he's going to go back to Tesla and he's still friends with Trump, his now he just has this massive problem that he has to deal with. People are attacking me. How do you get people to stop attacking his vehicles?
I see what you're saying.
You
It makes sense in that
you
way.
go against Trump. You say I'm fighting you and I don't like it, blah blah, and you create that division. And what additionally, hold on, because what additionally ends up happening is that Elon now has an opportunity to form a new party, and he gets to form this party when during a time where the Democrats are so broken. They're so broken to pieces because they have no platform. Their platform is shifting into socialism at this point. So there's going to be a lot of people who are like, "Oh, I'm not so comfortable with this."
So
So
you're
he gets
correct
to
about
come out.
all of this as the possible beneficial results, but
Yes,
I still don't believe it's staged. Like they're like, hey, we're gonna do this. We're
we're
gonna
talking
play
about
fight.
the master media manipulator and a genius,
No,
like
they're not doing that.
engineer guy who is wild and says and does crazy stuff all the time. I
No.
feel like it's absolutely in the ballpark of possibility that they would basically shoot the shit and just kind of loosely talk about like, man, what would happen if we split? Like, oh well, a new party would form, blah blah blah, and they could just and then they just say, hey, you know what? All right, my Teslas are blowing up. I gotta get out of here, and you know what? I'm gonna take this issue and I'm gonna blow it up.
I mean,
I'm gonna
that all
blow it up
sounds
in your
like a nice
face.
little package, but think of if you're on the other side of Trump, you're not gonna get the
Trump can't
uh
do anything to Elon. He doesn't even want
the
this
regulate
stuff.
you know, the
The
all the
regulations, he doesn't need
regulatory
it. He
stuff
doesn't
for
want
his
it.
for the self-driving cars and all the technology of the future,
It's all
he
state.
definitely can place some roadblocks there.
It's
He
state.
definitely does.
It's that stuff is generally state driven. If he would put stuff in there, and we know Trump isn't going to actually do anything. He wants the electric. He just doesn't want it to be mandated. He wants the regular
Yeah,
stuff. He's like, you can run free. You can go across the plains if you want. It's fine. I don't
yeah.
think that he's gonna get in his way. He won't. It just seems to me like there's so many things that line up with this kind of being more beneficial to both of them than not. Because what and here's the way that it's beneficial to America is that it gives the opportunity for a new party to form that actually is able to stand on its own and replace this establishment democratic system because Trump understands because he's been a Democrat and Republican, Democrat, Republican, he's bounced all over the place. And I think he understands that in order to have a healthy country and to ensure its future, you have to have at least a two-party system. You have to have these two sides that are kind of battling each other, but they need to be doing it in a healthy way. But the way
So
that they've been doing it
for the
lately is
midterms, it'll
not
be fine.
healthy.
For the midterms, it'll be just fine. There's no problem with having basically independent groups
Yeah,
that can go. The issue is with the presidential campaigns because when you try making it a third party is always a spoiling.
and the thing is, I don't think that there's going to be any issues where people are legitimately going to be breaking off in favor of even the America Party because we don't even know who the charismatic person is that they're going to be pushing, right? And so, and when you have somebody with a
Yeah,
proven
there's
track
lots.
record like Trump has, and he's running, all
I,
of MAGA are going to be like, I'll keep on with this train. So the
you don't
Republicans,
have
generally
to.
speaking, are going to be fine.
You don't have to win a presidency with an American party in order to have a positive influence. What you can do is you can get 20 representatives elected and have a good caucus and
Mm-hmm.
have a good voting block that'll hold the line on certain things and then they
Mm-hmm.
have to be dealt with, right? Like they have to be conceded to get their 30 votes.
Right.
So there are things like that that can be done that can be
That'll be the
helpful.
slow. I mean, I don't think that the America Party is going to have any shot of winning a presidency,
Right.
especially
That's
in
what
the
I'm saying.
next
Don't
term.
think about if you talk about, like, getting seats in the House of Representatives,
That
I've
stuff
seen
is
that
possible.
that is
Yeah.
possible to get as many as 20 maybe, I and then that would be a significant voting block.
And the only way that you would be able to do that is to fight hard with Trump so that you can hope to peel off some from them, and then on while standing on a defeated Democrat Party where that is being
True.
dominated with socialism, and you've got regular normies who are like, "Get me out of here! I don't like Trump, but I gotta go somewhere." Sure, okay,
All of the
Elon,
facts fit
America Party.
your hypothesis, but I still think your hypothesis is wrong. I don't think it is.
That's
I don't
fine.
think. Right. So I just disagree. All the facts fit, and you have a lot of nice, pretty pieces for it. I just don't think that they're faking it.
I think that
If I thought
they're.
they're faking it, I'd be happier.
I think it would be I want
If
to
it
just
was
kind of be a
genius,
little more
I would be
clear
happier.
is when I say like faking it and stage and all that stuff, it's you can almost think of it like a WWE rivalry. And even if
Yeah.
there is a little bit of truth that there is some ugh kind of going on, that could still be there, that could still be perfectly valid. So
Okay.
that's what I
Yeah,
think about all
I
that.
might not have my pulse on things as well as you do right now. Who knows? But to me, just based on the personalities that I know, and because I have spent most of my life doing like 10 hours of podcast a day, and getting to know who people are, not just learning about the news of the day, because you can learn about that in 15 minutes in a day.
Yeah.
It's you get to understand and care for the people and understand where they're coming from, and you kind of know that then they become kind of a shorthand for understanding issues, because if they have this issue,
Mm-hmm.
his quirks, okay, so because he comes from this angle, like Ben Shapiro, if he has certain stance or something, I'm like, okay, I know what that means.
Right.
Just, I mean, even it's like he agrees in a certain way. He just does things a certain kind of way with how he does things. And then of course, if you have what's his name, Tucker Carlson, like he's another certain kind of way. If
Mm-hmm.
you understand the human, I just think I understand the humans in this too much for that to make sense, for the WWE fake, fake fight to be there. I think it's real, and I think that what you're seeing is them holding back a little bit because they know the relationship they've had, and they're like, the fakeness is more like,
Silent, like quieting themselves.
yes, it's more like they are
I
not
feel like
all in.
them quieting themselves is is giving people an opportunity to settle. Because if all that happened was Elon was just boom boom Trump, you're bad, you suck, blah blah blah, like that, those are just war drum beats, and you're just gonna get people hyped up and angry and at you and somebody else, and it's like it's only healthy to do that for a short period of time so that you can boom, everything falls up, and then you kind of get to say, okay, let's let people settle into place, and then let they get to kind of feel that out for a few weeks, and then boom, you pound the table again, and it all comes up, and now you can pull more people, so I mean, obviously, this is, I'm not a mind reader. I don't know. This is just kind of my general opinion, but like you were saying, when I'm looking at my facts kind of fit the plot, like these are the pieces that I'm seeing, and it could not be right. It could all be gunk. This all could be completely legitimately real, and what we're seeing is as plain as it actually is. I just got the way that I'm looking at the general situations and the things that everybody has to gain and or lose, things just make sense. I mean, having a fight right before you go back to becoming CEO at Tesla while everybody's firebombing your stuff, it makes really good sense. And the reason they're doing that is because you're friends with Trump. It makes a lot of sense to say, I need to take care of my business. It's my baby. It's my number one priority.
But it also
Boom.
makes sense that as soon as he leaves town, they go and do all the shit that's they go against him. Like it's almost so then that's why I mean, as soon as he gets out of there, they
And
start
there's
doing
the
all sorts of
legitimate.
stuff, and he's like, "What? What the hell?
Exactly, and that's
I
the
was just
legitimate
there."
part. That was the legitimate part. I think that he basically was like, "Look, because when he got into the position, he was like, "Look, I want to. When I go in there, I really want to gut. Like, I want to seriously gut." And
Right.
he was, and generally speaking, he was able to, but a lot of the public tensions were flaring up, and I think that a lot of that stuff ended up just kind of having to cut him short in his participation. But
So they say, I mean, I don't know if they've is Trump has reneged on this now. He probably has in the spat.
mhm.
They said they were going to try to pass the Doge cuts in another bill later on. Um,
Yeah, well, okay, it makes total sense. The 2017, here's how I view this. The 2017 cuts were just codified in this big beautiful bill. Like
right. Because they're going
now
to
they got put
expire.
in.
It's like a
So
6-year thing. Yeah.
so if there, honestly speaking, if there was any expectation to have the Doge cuts that were months old be inserted into this bill into this bill, I don't think that that was even a reasonable assumption.
Right. I
Because the
wasn't
way that
trying
we
to.
do it is we say,
I'm
okay,
not.
we're gonna try this stuff out and then we'll see how it goes.
I wasn't expecting them to do that, but But I'm hoping that their little spat doesn't make Trump say, "Well, I don't know if we'll do the Doge thing now in the new bill
No,
because Elon's being a dick to me."
I
It's.
don't think I don't. Trump
I
is
hope he
not.
still goes with it. I think Doge
I
should
don't think
still
he's
get.
petty like to that degree. If there's anybody who's doing something positive for America, he will do it. Even if that person hates him, he'll still and if there was a good I it was this is a good thing, he'll still do it. He'll work with him all the way through. Because that's what he wants to do. He wants to get the positive ends of these things.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
I
we'll
think
kind of end up having to see.
we're just spectators.
Yeah,
We have our one vote, and then we just wait to see what they do with the world.
and sometimes they don't blow it up when they maybe should. And but I feel like back to the kind of Epstein thing a little bit is like when we like I am glad that I don't have to be the one to make that decision to either bury my morals or blow up the world. Like it's very much a doc. Have you ever seen or read the book of The Watchmen?
I've seen the series only.
So there's Dr. Manhattan. Like it's like okay, there's the truth, and we have to bury it because if we expose this, then the war continues, chaos, the world breaks out into chaos. But if we destroy that evidence, if we destroy that story, then we get world peace. So I'm sitting here kind of looking at Trump as like in the position of Dr. Manhattan, having to say, this is what I have to work with. I have an end goal. What am I going to do? It's to me, it's very much a Dr. Manhattan situation,
Okay. Well, I in that case, we definitely will never know.
which is also the point. It's also the point. And so, but what I love about it is that the American people can and should always push this stuff. I'm sure that this Epstein stuff it's gonna die down, and people are gonna kind of be
It'll
like,
always
okay,
be there.
but it's
It'll
gonna
always
pop back up, and it's gonna come back up in
the
surprising
the
times.
JFK different theories of assassination
It's
have always been there.
and
That's a higher magnitude, obviously, but this is kind of close in a sense
this might be a bigger
because
magnitude. We
right,
just don't know how big,
yeah.
right? And we even looking at the JFK stuff, like that was probably like a pretty big thing as well. I mean, it was what was it? It
I
was
mean,
like basically CIA
it was a big thing,
assassinates the
right?
president. That's wild.
Yeah,
So
and that I don't know if we say that for sure now, or is that still like a
And this is part of the problem is when you release a lot of information on really old stories that have been conspiracy theorized for decades. What is it? What's actually come out now? Where are we?
right?
What is the truth?
So
Do we have it?
so I've heard other people say that's definitively the case where the CIA did it. Now, it would not surprise me, but I don't know if it's definitive or not. I don't know if it ever can be at this point. I'm sure with the thing is with enough time passage, there's also plenty of time for people to just get rid of things.
Yeah.
It's easy because like just even people in a records office, right? Um, Imagine just some dude sitting in a records office and like how long is his tenure? Like he'll be there 3 years and you get a new person and you get a new person. Like you'd have these turnaround in these agencies, and eventually no one knows anything about anything, and then someone that does know can be in there and just like while they're in there, I'm gonna take file number 673 7 whatever 86, and that's just gonna take that with me and it's gonna go away forever. Like it's
Well,
it can all just get melded in to the time when you have
right.
75 years like we had.
And that's in a sense an out that the Trump
Yeah.
administration is actually able to pull. Because so imagine a situation like this. Because I think we heard James Comey. He was like, "Yeah, you don't destroy anything. You just file it away in a place that nobody ever looks." Right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like how they go about stuff. And so really it's like Cash Patel can say, "We scoured through everything and we couldn't find anything." And then at some point down the line they could say, one of our people opened up a file that had nothing to do with any of this stuff, and in it was a document involving Epstein, and there's a person who's here. Here's
Yeah.
somebody, and we're going to prosecute this person. And so rather than saying, here's a whole list and we're going to blow up the world by exposing everybody, they can say, dude, this Epstein stuff, we just found this stuff is probably scattered all over the place. It's going to take forever to stumble across these things.
What if they just outed one person completely and then hoped that they would just snitch on everybody else? I mean, like you could almost create a snitch fest.
Well, we were kind of hoping that Ghislaine Maxwell would. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
a lot
know.
of people were like, "Dude, you can let her go completely if she provides
Right.
us with
You write her
evidence
own
and
let her
names."
write her own ticket if she I
Yeah,
think that if she can provide light, not if she's gonna say, I actually didn't know anything, you know, but if she can shed light, give her a full pardon. Give her a full pardon.
do something as long as we can get actual prosecutions. Because honestly, it how horrible would it be if Epstein didn't have to kill himself.
Yeah.
And why in the world is Ghislaine Maxwell in prison if she trafficked children to nobody? She took them on field trips. Is
Yeah.
this what she's getting? And I mean, largely, like we say, like she shouldn't be in jail. But it's like it's very much tongue in cheek because it's like clearly she should. But the point
Well,
is, why when you're telling us that nobody is a perpetrator? There's victims without perpetrators. What's going on?
yeah.
So it's a it's a crazy situation. It's a crazy story. But how about it? How about we clip it here? We'll call it good.
Sounds good.
All right, that was good. Take it easy, guys.
Bye.